studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
It's you today.
Happy motherfucking Friday!
Right on cue, and we're ready to go. Hey, everybody, welcome to After 9. Happy Friday. Today is the 7th of June. We are heading into a big weekend. It's Kat's birthday weekend.
It is my birthday weekend. I guess. I don't know. So that getaway I was telling you about yesterday, my husband surprised me with because he's been away all week for work. He gets back today. That getaway's not this weekend because we're too busy with kids things, dance things. However, it's in a couple weeks. So it's my birth month. Really, I'm celebrating a little bit this weekend, I guess. And then a little bit the weekend after that.
Okay. Hey, that's fine. You can do that weekend getaway with your husband anytime, I suppose. The dance mom thing is what interests me because, you and I are similar in a lot of ways. And as I became sports dad, fully engulfed in this when my kids were playing, I could see you becoming dance mom, just like Abby on that TV show.
Okay, so I've made a friend during this whole process.
That's how the show begins.
A big fan of our show, so she knew that I already put my kids in dance because we talked about it before. So I was talking to her for a while yesterday about it because I was like, what is this all about? She has two girls. They're old. Well, her youngest is the same age as my oldest, and then she's got a 13-year-old too. They're both in dance, competitive. The older one is.
She must be rich.
They put aside money. She said, yeah, it's a thing what we do. We just put aside money every month. Dance is their thing, though. Like, you got to pick a lane, kids. You know what I mean? But
Sure.
Dance is their thing.
I always thought rep hockey parents and rep lacrosse parents and stuff, I thought they had it tough. Dance moms, for example, they spend those costumes that those kids wear are so expensive.
I'm going to out some fucking people for this. I don't care. But you want to know the mind-blowing bullshit that happens? So they'll charge you like $60, $80. Let's say $50 to $80 for a kid's costume. They ordered it on Shein.
Oh.
For like $12.
Really?
Why don't you just tell the fucking parents to order it on Shein? Are you kidding me? Like that's not right.
No.
So that wasn't my kid's costume. I don't know how my kids got their costume, but if I found out that that's on Shein or Temu or some shit for $8 and they made me spend $60 each, so it came to like $140 for my kids' costumes. Like, come on. Like, I understand you need to make a little bit of money off of things, and if you put on a nice production at the end of the year, cool. Like, we all understand that takes money. We don't live under rocks. We get it. And you have to pay the instructors so that they come back and they're good instructors and they're good with children. All those things make sense. But don't tell us that a costume costs $60 or $50 when it costs like $12. Give me a goddamn break. Like, that's some bullshit I just learned yesterday. So that don't make me happy. I'm not all the way into the competition thing yet, though, or I don't even know if I will be, but I worry about tonight's the competition, and like it's a big stage production, and it's going to look amazing, and the kids are going to have so much fun that they're going to probably want to go back again. This is how they suck you in.
That's how they
suck you in.
The glitz, the glamour, the lights, the crowd, the whole 9 yards.
They're clapping at you. You might be the shittiest dancer they've ever seen. They're still going to fucking clap because you're a kid.
I could dance, and they'd clap.
They would probably clap for you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And no one should.
So I had a good long convo at one of the many rehearsals last night going, wow, they really, like, that's gouging. Like I said, I don't mind spending money, but I'd rather you have a fundraiser we can all take part in and have some fun to raise some money rather than you tell me that it's going to be $60 for something that you paid $12 for.
That's so
Give me
frustrating.
a goddamn break. I don't like that at all. So I won't call them out by name because my kids are still there. but I don't like that at all. But anyway, so I'm kind of relieved that that's it for the year, and then we'll see how it goes.
This is it until next spring?
So it's a school run it's a school run program.
Oh.
It's September all the way to June.
Wow.
It's a school year run thing.
You're getting a break though. That's good because you have been driving around a lot. We don't talk often about everything that we do in a day, but yeah, you're busy. You're busy. You remind me of when I was doing that run for sports with the kids.
But it doesn't stop. Like, they have camps in the summer. I'm going to be doing the same things, pickups, drop-offs, all that stuff all summer long also. So, I mean, it really never ends when you have kids, but you want them to this is important for them. The friendships, the responsibilities, all those things are important. I'm all for it. I want them to do stuff, but we just got to figure out what makes sense, right?
Kat's new life motto is drive, watch, wait.
Honestly.
Drive, watch, wait.
Drive, watch, wait.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Honestly, that's pretty much it.
This is the story of so many parents' lives.
Oh, my
drive,
goodness.
watch, wait.
Yeah, it is.
And then drive home again. Dave is not joining us on this episode of After 9. He is a lazy prick. And he...
absolutely.
Today we're having another meeting. Dave's meeting is scheduled later than the meeting yesterday that prevented us from doing a full-length episode of After 9.
Who do you think is more excited this week is done? Me or Dave?
Dave's got to be pumped.
Dave's got to be so jacked to finally be done all these meetings.
Well, he told me one of the things he actually looks forward to in a week is doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's the first thing to get cut if he's got other shit to do.
Which is too bad. I mean, we could go bombard his space while he's in the middle of prepping for a meeting, but then he'd hate us and get really mad.
Yeah. Kind of need him on our side.
Yeah.
So Dave is not going to join us, but Octavia is in studio. We will talk to her if we need to. You have a live broadcast today too, don't you?
Yes.
Where are you going to be? Do you want to give it a little plug? Let's give them a plug because they're using the Scott and Kat show for a live remote.
So I'm going to be at Zefto's on 91 University Avenue East, and it's a restaurant.
I love it. I love
That's
your
good.
prep. I love your prep.
When I was young in broadcasting,
right?
I used to do all that shit.
Yeah.
Now I show up at a live broadcast and I'm literally reading the notes as I go on the air with them. Yeah. Don't try that, Octavia. That's an experienced broadcaster move. But you're ready. You're organized. You've memorized the address. It's good. What do they serve there at that restaurant?
A little bit of everything. They've got salads, they've got burgers, pizza, bowls, like you name it, you can have a little bit of everything.
Sounds good.
You're gonna get fed there too, which is always nice. I always like those on locations where they're like, "Here, try this." I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Haven't you ever done a live broadcast though, where they're like, "Here, try this," and you think, "I don't want to try that."
Oh,
No.
it's the worst when you actually. It's part of the job though, where you're just like, guys, come on down here. It's amazing. We love this place. And everyone's like, oh, it's fucking awful. I did the worst on location I ever did in my life. It was, first of all, was it Boxing Day or Christmas Eve? One of the two at a car dealership outside.
Oh.
We weren't even allowed inside. So we set up, it wasn't here at this time. So we set up outside in the freezing fucking cold. They were like, don't worry guys, we'll try to bring out the heater with an extension cord. Who goes, and here's the question, who goes shopping for cars on Boxing Day? Fucking nobody.
Right.
I'll tell you, like nobody was there. It was the worst event. I was freezing cold. Like I thought I had hypothermia. We had to take turns into the station vehicle heating it up so that we wouldn't freeze our tits off. It was awful. It was awful. Anyway, that was the worst one. So don't worry. Once you hear about the worst ones, everything else is great.
Back in the day when we were at Z in Toronto, I used to have to annually, every fucking Boxing Day, except for the the occasional times when I could convince Tony Monaco to do it.
Yes.
I had to be live at Le
Le
Chateau.
Chateau. I think I did it for you one year. I got suckered into that one.
Le Chateau on Orphis Road on Boxing Day is basically taking your own life into your hands.
Holy shit, because they did have deals. I mean, you have to hand it to them. They had crazy deals.
Oh, yeah, come get this fucking dress for $2 and we
It
got
was
running shoes for
insane.
$1 and stuff like that. It was nuts.
It was crazy.
And there were people everywhere. And it took like an hour to get down a road that's only 1.5 kilometers long to begin with. It was messed up. And every year I did it.
No, I think you sold it to me the one year. Kat, time and a half you get, by the way. It's Boxing Day. So first and foremost, time and a half remote. How do you feel about it? You're going to be with clothes. Okay, you're a girl. I know you love clothes. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. Oh, it's going to take 4 hours of your day up.
I apologize
It
for
took
that.
like fucking 6 because of the traffic. Boom. So many people there, you couldn't move. It was insanity.
And then once you finally get off Orphis Road, you're right outside goddamn Yorkdale on Boxing Day. It's fucked up. It's amazing that work sent us there and thought it was a good idea.
It was nuts.
Well, we're
That was funny. I forgot about that. That was a crazy day.
I am very, very happy to hand over the reins of live broadcasts now to Octavia.
God.
Who, if you are interested in promoting your business and would like the Scott and Kat show live on location, maybe we'll come or maybe Octavia will be
Yeah.
there. We'll promote it. Yeah, It's
Right?
good times. Good
Yeah.
times. Before we get to some of the other content that I want to do here in this episode of After 9, I want to start off by playing a TikTok for you.
Okay.
This is just someone's opinion. Some of you may feel attacked, or some of you may be tempted to fire off a nasty text message saying, you're being ageist here.
Oh.
This is not our content, but we will discuss. It is a TikTok user who points out the things that parents should no longer do if they have teenagers.
Oh. Whenever you're absolutely right, because whenever there's parenting involved, people get pretty
Defensive is a good way to put
like
it.
the nicest way to put it. Okay, let's hear this out.
Okay, first is bring out a platter of food when they have friends over. This is trying way too hard, and it's coming off as kind of desperate. Next is talking to your kid's friend if you're driving them somewhere in the car. Don't say hello or acknowledge them in any way. Remember, you're just an anonymous Uber driver. Next, letting your kids see you run. I don't care how hard it's raining or if you're trying to catch an airport shuttle. Seeing this will damage them more than looking at the eclipse. And obviously, if you trip and fall, they're going to need a lot of therapy. Okay, last is bringing your own chair to a sporting event. This draws too much attention to yourself, so either sit in the bleachers or stand, despite the crippling back pain that causes.
The running one got me. That's so funny.
It's all spot on. I can tell you that that's all true. You can call me ageist if you want, but I'm going to tell you a couple of things here.
That's so funny. Oh, shit.
So I've done that because I like to be a good host. So if my daughter or my sons have people over, I'm that guy who's going to go looking for food. Just last week, I made like 16 hot dogs and put out a platter because we had people over. Here you go, kids. Dig in and enjoy the hot dogs. Apparently, we're not supposed to do that. It's too high profile. It's too flashy. No platters of food. Kids don't care. They would much rather you say, let's Uber Eats some McDonald's. That's really what they're interested in.
Interesting. Okay.
Don't talk.
No homemade shit then? Is that
No.
basically it? Just don't homemade shit.
Yeah. In other words, all the niceties that you do as a parent, trying to be a thoughtful parent for your kids
They
and
don't care
entertain.
about it.
Kids don't give a fuck.
But the truth is they don't, because they don't understand how much effort it is. Like, you make your kid a little, I don't know, and their friends a little charcuterie board kid friendly, right? With chocolate and maybe you got pretzels, all popcorn. You could have just dropped in a couple bags of Fritos and fucking Doritos and chocolate. And here, have at her.
It's very similar to the way they feed the whales at Marineland. Now, you could put out a charcuterie, and I'm sure the whales would eat it. But really, at the end of the day, they just want you to heave a bucket of food into the middle, and they'll devour it.
Yeah, you're bang on.
Don't talk to the teenagers in the car.
That's so funny.
It's so true.
But it's true.
It's awkward conversation, but I
Yes.
feel like I got to say something like, it's the elephant in the room.
I
Like,
know.
hey, I don't know you, and you're in the back of my car, and I'm driving you around. Like, I feel like I should ask your name or just be polite and start a conversation. Kids feel it's awkward. Don't talk to them.
So don't talk. So maybe that's when radio really comes in handy. You turn that radio up, let the music speak for itself, and hopefully no awkward things come on the radio in that moment too.
Even that, it depends. It's ages and stages. I'm going to tell you why. So doing what we do, we listen to a lot of top 40 radio. I actually like a lot of top 40 artists, you know. I have no problem cranking up a brand new Dua Lipa record or playing the new Eminem on blast. No problem. I can do that. But apparently the kids cannot in their mind understand that an adult likes similar music to them. So they think we're trying too hard to be cool when we're putting on, I don't know, like fucking Jack Harlow or Drake or something like that. They think, oh, look at this fucking boomer. I'm not a boomer, first off, and I was just trying to be nice, you little prick. That's the story. And some kids don't get it.
So drive in silence unless they start talking. There are those kids, like I remember growing up with friends that definitely were the talkers to the parents. Like they were looking forward to speaking to the parents more than the kids.
Really?
Yeah. They were like, is your mom gonna be home? Oh, I love talking to you. And then they would talk in like the kitchen and stuff. But that's like a special breed of person, I think.
Okay, were those girlfriends that like talking to your mom?
Is that girls? Is that a difference?
I think so. I mean,
because I liked talking to my girlfriend's moms.
I like talking to my buddies' moms most of the time. But I was a polite one. I was always the Mrs. This, Mrs. That. Hey, please and thank you. Whereas not all of my friends had that level of sophistication.
So they liked you too then.
Yeah, they did. So I usually got into these conversations and I was a fat little kid and I just wanted food, really, like a dog. So most of them would be like, little fat Scotty, he's great. I'm going to put in a tin of muffins or make some cookies or something like that. I always got my way. It was great just by being polite. But not everybody's good with that. Never let them see you run. This is an important one here, adults. You're not as good at this as you used to be, and you need to understand that.
Oh my God, the way the guy phrased it was hilarious. And you know what? They don't want to see you try to do anything that they can do now. Cartwheels is a great example of that. If they're doing cartwheels and practicing whatever, don't try to do it. We all know that we could. Listen, there was a time for all of us, okay? There was a time for all of us where we could do all those things. It doesn't mean you need to try again deep into your 30s and especially in your 40s, okay?
You got to assess risk versus reward. Maybe you do some unbelievable cartwheel and a judge from the Olympics sees it and thinks, you know what, we're going to give you a gold medal because you're a great fucking cartwheeler. The kids don't give a shit.
They don't care.
They're judging you. They don't think it's cool. They think you're bad at it. And you're probably going to get hurt. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You're going to sprain a wrist.
Yeah.
You're going to fall the wrong way and bruise your butt. Something. Just stay out of it. The running is very true, though. It doesn't matter who you are. You running at 40 is not the same as you running at 20.
Give me a scenario of a parent running in front of a kid. Like, is this when they're trying to like keep up with them or play something? Or is this just like, I don't know, try to get the kids out of the way? Like, give me an example of this.
I've done this.
Because I'm trying to picture it.
So I was going to a Raptors game with my son, and we were going to take the GO train. Me, leaving it to the last minute, was running real close for this GO train.
Yeah.
So I said, shit, you park the car. I'm going to run for the train. You catch up to me. He's an athlete. He should be able to keep up with a 40-something-year-old man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran, and I don't even think I got to the entrance of the GO station before he started laughing and said, I'll be right behind you. Just go ahead. Fuck. It was very condescending, Josh. Very.
And it scarred him for life, apparently.
It did. Well, it made me realize, no, you shouldn't run. I'm glad that person articulated it that way because, yeah, doesn't look the same. The other one is don't bring a chair to sporting events. Yeah, that's a thing. A lot of people do that.
But a lot of people, but then you're not, because he made it sound like if you're the only one, you stand out like a sore thumb. And maybe that's right. But there's a lot of people who show up to their kids' baseball games, soccer games. I see it. Drive by a field. You see a bunch of people with the chairs.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you're in like a big crowd of chairs, right?
Do you know how much money over the years I've invested into things like chairs that I can set up at the field, wagons to pull the chair. The wagons are a big one.
Yeah.
Coolers for tailgating, portable barbecues, tents. I've got the whole fucking thing.
I bet you do, yeah.
And yeah, you do kind of draw attention to yourself when you do that. They'd really rather you just go sit in the stands and shut up.
Yeah.
Don't cheer. Don't cheer. Don't.
But-
Don't get into it with the other coach or the umpires. Just shut up.
Like
watch the game.
That makes sense. Like, don't yell at anything negative, but not even cheer. Like, some kids don't even want their parents to like cheer for them if they score or something.
People cheer differently than they used to. Cheering used to be, woohoo, yeah, great job, blah, blah, blah. Now cheering is really just a whole bunch of people going, let's go, let's go. in
mindless.
Different forms of go,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. It is quite mindless too. I don't like even at a professional game when people are just like, come on, guys. I'm just like, oh, that's very generic. Like what? Like that's it? That's all you got? Come on, guys. Like I'm sure they heard that and went, holy fuck. Did you hear that guy in section 42A? He just said, come on, guys. That's what we needed to hear.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah. I tuned out all the let's go.
Nobody fucking worked harder because someone said, come on, or let's go. Nobody fucking did. Just so everyone knows.
Octavia, you're still fairly young. Do your parents drive your friends around anywhere, and do they initiate conversation during these trips?
When I was younger, yes, my parents would drive us places, and some of my friends would talk to my parents. And I remember my dad at the time had a car that still had like a cassette tape player, and he had his own mixtape, and my friends thought it was like the best thing ever. And I just remember like shaking my head about it.
Oh, yeah. He pulled out the mixtape. Eh? He wanted
yeah.
to show those kids that he listens to good music.
Oh, yeah.
Mixtape. That's amazing.
That reminds me, by the way. Friend was cleaning out some stuff at their place. And I just recently acquired, because they were going to throw it out, an old school boombox.
I love that people think of you when that happens, right? Like, I'm sure that you're one of the first people I thought of. Like, oh, Scott, he works in radio. He'd love a boombox.
Sure.
I love when that happens. If people tell me about their boomboxes, I'm like, fucking right.
Kat, that's the only actual radio I own now, and I just got it 3 days ago.
Oh, okay. So is it tape? Is it double cassette? Are we talking CD? Or talking all of it?
Let me take you back to the late 90s when this was the Cadillac of home entertainment. It's got 2 detachable speakers. In the middle, this has got the turntable on top. It's got a double cassette deck.
Fucking right.
And a 5 CD changer.
Holy shit! That's a
All in one.
That's a serious one. It's got a 5 CD changer. Do you know how you were rich as fuck? Like, everyone thought that you were rich as fuck if you had a 5-disc if you had one of those, you were like, everyone wanted to go to your house.
Yep.
And then you put that shit on random and put the 5 best CDs you got in there.
Uh-huh.
Remember when and then it would make that sound. So in between, at the end of Octavia, listen to this. It was fucking great. So at the end of a CD,
Look at her roll her eyes when you start talking about 90s technology.
Octavia's like, great guys, can't wait to hear it. But like a song would end, but then there was an awkward pause because obviously the next song couldn't play fast. So then everything would just stop, and all you hear is and then the machine would just shift its way around. The CDs would shift, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 and then it would play the next song. There's a good awkward, 5-6 second pause there in between songs.
Yeah, it was a lot. It had to actually physically rotate around to a new CD.
Yes.
I don't know if you knew this or not. It was possible to program those 5-disc CD changers to only play the songs you wanted to hear. But programming it,
that took a long time.
You needed to be like a NASA engineer. Yeah. So if you only wanted to listen to track 3, 7, and 8 on disc 1, you could do that. Then it would skip to disc 2 where you only wanted to hear tracks 1 through 5. Then you could have it go to CD 3 and so on and so forth. All great. But programming that was wild. I went through all the steps. It took me like an entire fucking weekend to create the ultimate 5-disc CD changer playlist. And then wouldn't you know, I lost one of the CDs and the whole thing was screwed up.
Yeah. I bought my first boombox at The Beat Goes On or something along those lines. And my papa came with me because he was the tech guy in the family. Everyone had like a tech guy because back in those days, it wasn't like everything was on your phone, right? So it was like you needed to have someone that knew shit about boomboxes. So he brought me to take a look at one. And the guy, smart as fuck, the guy at The Beat Goes On put in CNC Music Factory CD to test the speakers for me.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody dance now. I bought the CD too. I said, I'll buy this fucking thing if you throw in the CD. They're like, done. They had like 9 copies of it, right? At that point, they didn't want any fucking CNC Music Factory CDs. I was like, give me that CD. And I blasted that song on repeat. It was great. It was a great fucking day.
What was the first CD you bought?
Oh my God. Oh, very first one was one of the mix CDs. It was, but it was an off-brand. Like it wasn't Dance Mix 95 or 4. It was like a weird street.
Was it like Tony Monaco presents Dance Mix 95?
I don't think it was a Tony Monaco Danny D remix one. It was like Party Mix.
Freestyle Frenzy, volume 535?
It was circa 90s though. It was so I didn't have the CD version of 95, so it had to be just after 95 because I had the cassette tape of Dance Mix 95. So it was probably in like that 96 sweet spot of most people were getting out of cassette and into CDs. So my first CD was, it was a mix. It had Hot Stepper on it. Like that I remember. I remember it had Hot Stepper because every time I hear it to this day, if we play it on like Throwback Thursday on our show, I'm like, fuck, it just reminds me of my very first CD.
That is so good. I had to really think to try and figure out what CD it was that I bought for the first time, but I was very into pop music. I always have been. I think I'm going to play it for you.
That's amazing.
Let me see here. Is this it? Yeah, this is it.
Oh, shit.
I'm just going to let this play for a second because it's Friday and people are fucking randy.
Just be careful. You know, Dave doesn't like when we do this too long.
I know. Guys, we're going to get sued. The video games
This is a headbanger.
It was back in the day. Me and my heavy metal music.
So rebellious.
Although that was the first time Octavia lifted her head this entire podcast so far.
She loves
finally something interesting.
Yeah.
That is a good album, though.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Where do we want to go? Oh, it's a historic day today, Kat. Television history-ish is going to be made when Pat Sajak hosts his final episode of Wheel of Fortune. Now, this has already been taped, correct?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, it's already been taped for sure. And they actually posted some goodbye messages, which will be a part, I believe, of this last episode. If you want to hear, Vanna White did a nice little tribute to her buddy Pat.
I don't know how to put into words what these past 41 years have meant to me. 8,000 episodes went by like that. When I first started, I was so green. You made me so comfortable and made me so confident. You made me who I am. You really did. We've grown up on television, and life events we shared with our families are my favorite. We've watched our children grow up together. We've traveled all over the world. We've eaten hundreds of meals together. We've laughed. We've cried. Oh, gosh. What an incredible and unforgettable journey we've had. You're like a brother to me, and I consider you a true lifelong friend who I will always adore. I love you, Pat.
And I can't wait to work with Ryan.
Good. I watched like some best of the moment of Wheel of Fortune, like highlight reel. I forgot. He gets sassy, man.
Pat Sajak is a prick.
Do you remember the time he made the dick comment? I almost forgot about it. When he was like, yeah, well, I've carried this show for X amount of years anyway. When he made like these little remarks, I'm just like, what the fuck is just take your big paycheck and shut the fuck up, buddy.
I'm telling you, if you go and watch a lot of Wheel of Fortune, which I do for some reason, I think there's just nothing on at 7:30. If you watch a lot, or 7, you will realize the comments that Pat Sajak makes to people are fucking offside like you wouldn't believe. And nobody's ever called the guy out on it.
Which is strange.
Yeah. Not that I'm advocating for anybody to be canceled, but it's amazing
too late anyway,
that he is still going on with this show after all this time.
I know. I don't even know. I wonder if she must be excited for Ryan. I think she's probably excited.
Vanna?
Yeah.
Hey, why didn't they just get Vanna to step up and host the show? She's been on it since 82. She's not leaving or retiring. You'd think this is a great opportunity to bring a woman in and get her to host the show.
I mean, yeah, for sure. It's maybe the fact that how long would she be there would be the question, right? If you have to make another announcement in like 7 years because she's like, yeah, well, I'm now retiring, you know? At least you have someone who's still a piece of it there. So I'm glad Vanna's still there by all means. And Ryan's such a personable dude. I think it's going to be a good show with him.
There's a formula to doing this, to making a connection with the audience, and I feel like Seacrest basically wrote the book on how to do it.
Yeah.
He's good at everything he does,
good.
And as much as I would like him to let other people host some shows, I think that he is going to do fabulous with it.
It's better than Nick Cannon. Can you agree?
Oh, what new show did he get now? What you were talking about this on What's Trending?
It's called Council Culture. It was a podcast first, now turned into a series on, guys, I forget, Prime or something like that. It was I did it in my What's Trending edition on our show yesterday. But yeah, he's hosting another thing.
Huh. Good on Nick. He's got a lot of kids to provide for, and this is important that he continues to maintain a high level of income. But again, holy shit, dude, you're on everything now. It's nuts.
Yeah, sure is.
Okay, let's move on because there are other things I want to get to here. I want to congratulate the amazing volunteers at the Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society. After 276 days in jail, so to speak, behind bars, they have a dog there named Hazel who was just adopted yesterday.
Finally!
Hazel has been at the Humane Society since last August. That's how long some dogs can stay in a shelter. At what point does the dog think, yeah, thanks for coming in, you're not going to fucking adopt me, and just start ignoring people? Like, how many people walked right by Hazel and nobody adopted her until yesterday? And don't get me wrong, I think it's amazing that somebody did. And I love what the Humane Society did. They were so happy for this dog to finally get a forever home. A couch that it can sleep on, a person that it's going to see consistently every day and feed her and take care of her and walk her and buy her treats and toys, all those great things that are part of being a dog. They all lined the hallway and clapped Hazel out as she left the Humane Society for the last time. Hopefully.
Yeah, it was a beautiful video.
The work that people do who volunteer to work with animals at any Humane Society, I admire it so much. Thank you for doing what you do. You're a Dolly Parton fan?
I do like Dolly.
Dolly basically became the new Betty White when Betty White passed away. She's that iconic woman at the top of the food chain. She's going to Broadway. Starting in 2026, the Dolly Parton story on Broadway. Now, Broadway shows typically begin on Broadway. When they go off Broadway and start touring, that's when we get them, usually at least in Toronto, sometimes other parts of Canada as well.
So is this her growing up? Like, will there be other Dollys playing Dolly and she plays the Dolly now, or do we know much about it?
The music legend is co-writing a stage story inspired by her life for a musical she hopes will be on Broadway in 2026. She's working on new music to go along with some of her past hits, including 9 to 5, I Will Always Love You, and more. Oh.
So is it her starring in it or not?
No, she's just writing it.
Okay, gotcha.
She'll make an appearance for sure.
Yeah, she'll be there opening night. She'll be there throughout. Yeah, I'm sure.
If she gets into it, she's probably going to win a Tony. And I think that's probably an appealing thing if you don't already have a Tony Award. What else we got? Oh, I don't know who Geotab is, but they must have sent someone to monitor traffic on the Gardiner Expressway. This is a major artery that runs along the bottom of Toronto. It's a highway, for those who don't know, that runs parallel to the lakeshore, which is right up against the lake. So the Gardiner, which typically I believe is 3 lanes in every direction or 4 lanes. It's been under construction since I was a child. And now they've reduced it by another lane in each direction for long-term construction that's going to take until 2027. Kat, what happens when you take a major artery and take away 1 lane in each direction?
Cause a lot of stress, anxiety, and people who lose their fucking mind.
A 250% increase in the morning commute time. 250%. 230% in the afternoon rush hour. Also, a massive increase of 23% to carbon emissions from vehicles idling along that stretch of the highway. That equates to approximately an extra 1,200 kilograms of CO2 daily from these vehicles in the study. That's the exact same carbon footprint as a premium round-trip flight from Toronto to Vancouver.
Holy shit.
When you put it like that, though, does that make city officials want to speed up construction, do you think? The fact that it's polluting our environment so badly? Because I think we've all driven through a construction zone and we know how it works.
Yeah.
Are there people working? Not all the time. And that frustrates the shit out of me. If I sit in traffic for an hour because of construction and there's no construction being done, that's asinine.
I mean, to answer your question, I think that they would consider moving things along. How, I don't know, but if there has to be some backlash from knowing this information. There has to be people who are going to speak loud enough about it. Will that happen? I don't know. But if enough people said, we have concerns about what's happening in the city because of this, then maybe they would take a look. But what could they do is the question. Like, how could they make people work faster? These people that they contract, it's not the people, sorry, but these companies that they contract.
Nearest I can tell, there is an appetite by the people, like you and I, the taxpayers. There's an appetite to go 24/7 construction. And that should increase or decrease the amount of time that it takes to get it done. If they say it'll take 3 years, well, if you work 24/7, that's 3 shifts going. It should be done in a year.
Yeah.
Because you're doing 3 times the amount of work.
You would think, one would think.
It seems like the construction companies are the ones opposed to this. And I think probably it's because right now they can get a big government contract and go and drop their cones on the highway and then fuck off for a couple of months and not do a thing.
We see it all the time. We see cones there and nobody's fucking working. And it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm not talking about middle of the night.
I'd love to see the breakdown on the bills that the taxpayers get from some of the construction companies to do simple things like resurface the 403, widen the QEW, all that sort of thing. I'd really like to know what we're actually paying for because we know it's going to be more expensive than they quoted us. How much more? And are we paying for that dead time when nobody is there doing anything?
Yeah.
If they've got a cement mixer parked on the side of the road ready for when they're eventually ready to put the cement down, do we have to pay for every day that it's there not doing anything? I'd love to know more about these contracts and how they work.
Yep.
Let's go to the good news of the day. No TTC strike in Toronto.
Yeah, a lot of people are relieved with that. So are we. We called that, by the way. I think we guessed, I think they'll figure it out.
We said 11th hour, they'll solve it. They
Yeah.
solved it at 11:45 last night.
There you go.
15 minutes before the deadline, and I'm good. I'm happy for them. Hopefully they got what they wanted. Hopefully the city's paying no more than they wanted to pay. We got we what am I trying to say? We nipped a strike in the bud.
Yes.
So that's good. Yesterday there was a big cabinet shuffle. Go figure. Not 3 days after we said Stephen Lecce is doing great as the education minister, he avoided a teacher strike again, and he seems like he's almost kind of campaigning to be a premier someday because he looks good, he sounds good, he's getting deals done without strikes, everything's great. Yesterday, he got demoted. They switched him from the high-profile education portfolio to the very low-profile energy portfolio.
Why did they do this?
Did
they give reason?
They didn't give a reason.
Okay.
I think probably either they're getting ready for an early election. By the way, we could have a provincial election this fall. I really see a scenario where Doug's going to call an early election. Either they don't want Lecce getting as popular as he is in the education portfolio, so they kind of bury him in one of the portfolios that nobody gives a shit about, or they just know they're going into an election and they've got people in the education sector don't necessarily love Stephen Lecce as the education minister. They don't love any education minister. So maybe they move him out and try and smooth things over. I'm not sure what the strategy is, but the timing was certainly remarkable.
That's strange.
New report from Urban Nation and Rentals.ca says rent is the highest it's ever been. Average rent across Canada now is $2,202 a month.
That's the average.
One bedroom on average, $1,927 a month. That used to be under $1,000 a month. It was just under $1,000 not too many years ago. It's up 10% though year over year. 2-bedroom units on average going for $2,334 a month.
Hannah, that's crazy.
What I don't understand is you go to the bank and you say, hey, banker, I want a mortgage. And I want a mortgage that's going to cost me about $2,000 a month. And I want to own the house. And the bank will say, no, you can't afford a $2,000 a month mortgage payment. So instead, go rent for $2,200 a month. How does that work out?
Yeah,
How in their mind can they sleep at night knowing that people are perfectly capable of affording these mortgages, but the stress test makes it seem unaffordable?
I know, because it's their money, right? They don't want to worry about losing out on their money if they have to foreclose or whatever. There's lots of different things that can happen in that scenario. That's all it is.
National Donut Day. Best one.
Between cruller and Boston cream.
Those would be my two favorites too.
And maybe I'll throw, if we need to do a third, a blueberry fritter in there.
Blueberry fritter.
Yeah.
How do you feel about powdered donuts?
Not
No?
good. Not good. No, too messy. Not worth it.
Really?
The taste isn't good enough for the mess.
No, you're right. It's
The
a little
ratio,
chalky.
right? The ratio has to be there for this is messy, but holy fuck, it's good. That's not the case for powder.
All right. Well, it is National Donut Day. There's a lot of places that are running specials today. If you get a chance, go ahead and do it. I'd agree with you on the cruller. Once I had an entire birthday cake made out of honey cruller donuts.
I heard about this one.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really good. If you're flying Air Canada anytime soon, are you?
Not that I know of, but this year I'm flying at some point.
Complimentary beer and wine in coach.
Yeah.
It's now official. I think we talked about this earlier this week. Now we've got the details. Air Canada has signed a deal. There will be 2 different types of wine, a red and a white from Paul Moss served on these flights, and 4 different kinds of beer. Yeah, the good news is it's free. The bad news is your options are only Molson Canadian, Coors Light, Creemore, and something else that I've never even heard of.
You'll probably take it though. You're up there and they're telling you it's obviously just one, right? One per traveler.
No, it's complimentary beverages. If you want more than one, you just got to get the person to bring you one.
Why do they want people to get trashed on their flights? Don't they want the opposite?
I think because they see people getting trashed on Porter flights, and they're wondering how much business they're losing to Porter. By the way,
Really?
I have still, to this day, not heard a bad thing about Porter Airlines.
Yeah.
I've never flown them. And as neat as I think it would be to go in and out of the island airport, the fact that they've got jets now that fly to Pearson Airport and they can go out to Victoria in the west, they can go out to St. John's in the east, they can go as far south as Florida.
I'm probably going to use them for Vegas. They fly to Vegas as well. And I did take Porter before from the island, and it was an incredible experience. I remember going, what? Why didn't I do this all along? Just the island's a little not as easy for me to get to. So that's the only reason why I didn't before. But now that they're offering it, I actually really, really like Porter a lot.
I am going to go out of my way to try a Porter flight. It seems like not only are they doing things right, most airlines that launch really struggle and then eventually go under or get bought up by Air Canada or WestJet. There's a couple that are hanging in there, though.
Yeah.
Porter is one of them, doing just fine. Makes me want to cheer for them a little bit more. Finally, Stanley Cup. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Will Canada be watching, or does Canada not give a shit because it's the Oilers?
I think some of Canada will be watching just for sheer curiosity. There's also hockey fans that are just hockey fans, so they're going to watch regardless. More so this one, though, I will say, than if it was like, I don't know, the Islanders versus, give me some obscure team. Like if it was Carolina, you know what I mean? Like definitely we wouldn't give many fucks. But the fact that there is a Canadian team in it, I know has a lot of us paying attention.
Drake is betting on the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. Placed a $500,000 bet on the Oilers to beat Florida. By the way, Florida is heavily favored in this one. So Drake is going against the odds, $500,000. He also bet on the Dallas Mavericks to beat Boston in the NBA final.
Okay.
At one point, Dallas was losing by like 40 points last night. They came back and made it a little closer, but Boston is probably going to run away with this one too. So I don't know if that's a safe bet either. But if he hits on both bets, $2.4 million.
Yeah.
You need the money to make the big bets to make the big money. Because when you bet like that, you're making money.
Yeah.
if you win.
I have no doubt in my mind, though, he gets some money to bet as part of his deal with Stake. Because he posts his screenshots from Stake. He has got a partnership with them. So I have no doubt in my mind, like, yeah, he's betting, but it's not all his money.
And on that, we will say good luck to the Oilers and Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman and all the rest of you fun Edmontonians.
Fun people.
Enjoy your running water, which there is none of, an hour south of you.
That sucks. Dude, that sucks.
We got to go, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. We will be back Monday with a new After 9, and we will try and get Dave lined up to be back on next week.
Bye, friends.